Hi, so prep test 80 game 3, let's do it. At an upcoming exhibition, 4 art students, Franz, Green, Hidalgo, and Isaacs, will each display exactly 2 paintings, okay, 2 each, an oil and a watercolor. Cool. Exactly 2 paintings will be displayed on each of the walls of the exhibition room. Walls 1, 2, 3, 4, with 1 painting in the upper position and 1 in the lower position. Okay. Well, visually it's going to make more sense to make our game board the walls of the exhibition room. So yeah, let's do that. And then of course our players will be the paintings. So our players will be the oil painting and the watercolor painting for each of these art students. Okay, so I'll be a little flexible here. So these are going to be our players, and then our walls, the upper position and lower position on each of the walls, I will represent like this. Okay, so we've got our 4 walls, upper and lower on each of them, and then these are players, so we do have a nice 1-to-1 ratio. We do have, 8 players, 8 positions, so that's more than usual, but still good to have a 1-to-1 ratio. First rule is that no wall has only watercolors on it. So we can't have 2 watercolors together, which means all of the watercolors have to be separated. So there's only going to be 1 per wall, which means there's going to be 1 oil and 1 watercolor per wall. We just don't know which one's in the upper position and which one's in the lower position. Okay, so those are our options for putting watercolors and oils on the wall. Okay. No wall has the work of only 1 student displayed on it. So we can't have anyone's watercolor and oil on the same wall. So if, this is F, that's not allowed, right? So good to know. No wall has both a painting by Franz and a painting by Isaacs on it. Alrighty, so we can't have these guys, and I'm always putting both positions on there, right? Because we don't know what arrangement might pop up. We want to make sure that we're eliminating both possibilities. Green's watercolor is displayed, okay, in the upper position of the wall on which Franz's oil is displayed. So this does happen. GW and FO. And Isaac's oil is displayed in the lower position of wall 4. Okay, so Isaac's oil, lower position, wall 4. Now let's just go through our rules and kind of figure out what we can from this information. So if there's oil on here, there has to be watercolor here. This can't be Isaac's watercolor. It also can't be Franz's watercolor, right? Because F and I can't be together. So it can't be Isaac's watercolor because we can't have the same person's. So it says like, yeah, no wall has the work of only 1 student displayed on it. So that can't be all Isaac's. And then it also can't be Green's watercolor because Green's watercolor is paired with Franz's oil. So green is out, which means the only option left is H. So we can actually determine that that is H's watercolor. Yeah, and then as far as the other pairings go, we've got Green's watercolor and Franz's oil. We've got Green's oil and H's oil. And then for watercolors, we have I and F. Yeah, so we don't know which one goes with which here, but those would be the options. And of course, these can switch places, right? We don't have to have the watercolor on top and the oil on the bottom. It could go the other way around. It just so happens that this one we have oil on the bottom, and for this guy we have oil at the bottom. So that's the setup and the deductions that we can make from the start. I'll do a few questions as well. So question 12 is kind of our typical first question, except it's just focusing on the lower positions. So lower positions, we know IO has to be at the end, so we can eliminate C based on that. What else? We know FO has to be on the list because it has to be on the bottom somewhere. Can we eliminate something because of that? Yes, we can eliminate D for that because it doesn't include FO. We also shouldn't see HW on the list because it's got to be on the upper wall. So E is out and B is out. So A's got to be the correct answer. So if I write that out, we've got, so this is our lower wall, FO, FW, GO, IO. So FO, GW has to be with it there. IO, HW has to be there. And then FW could go with FW can't go with I. Oh, that one's already, okay, what am I looking at here? Oh, H. So I need HO, there we go, and IW. Okay, so this is an acceptable scenario that we got from the first question. 13, if Isaac's watercolor is displayed on wall 2, so Isaac's watercolor, and it could be on the bottom, and Franz's oil is on wall 3, okay, so Franz's oil means we've got GW there. Which one of the following must be displayed on wall 1? Okay, so we need an oil to go with I. So it could be HO or GO, but then we're going to need the remaining watercolor is going to be here. So that's really the key, is FW has got to be on wall 1 because it's the only remaining watercolor. So A is the correct answer for question 13 as well. Okay, moving on. 14, if Hidalgo's oil is displayed on wall 2, okay, HO is there, cool. Which one of the following could also be displayed on wall 2? Well, it can't be GW, it can't be another oil, it can't be Hidalgo, because Hidalgo's over here, and also we can't have H and H. So Isaac's watercolor would be okay, and then we could have GW, FO, FW, GO, and that would be fine. Okay, eliminating that one. So the correct answer for that one is E. 15. If Green's oil is displayed on the same wall as Franz's watercolor, then H and I have to be together as well, right? So we're going to have GO, FW, HWIO, GWFO, and then what do we have left over? HO and IW. So what must be true is, okay, not A, not B, D. D has to be true, yeah. So HO and IW, right? That's the deduction we can make there. A little matching exercise with this guy. 16, FO on wall 1. GW, which one could be true? All right, so Franz's watercolor on wall 4, nope. Green's oil on wall 2. I don't see anything wrong with that. Hidalgo's watercolor on wall 3. No, can't do that because it's right here. Green's watercolor on wall 2. That doesn't work because it's on wall 1. And Isaac's oil on wall 1. No, that doesn't work because we've already got those guys on wall 1. So the correct answer here would be Green's oil on wall 2. So we could do that. We could have GO and IW, excuse me, for example, and then we would have FW left over and HO. So that's possible. Totally fine. Alrighty. Next one, which one of the following could be true? Both of Franz's paintings and both of Green's paintings are in the lower positions. No, because one of Green's is in an upper position. Franz's and Green's both in upper positions. That's not going to work because, again, we've got Franz in a lower position here. Both of Franz's paintings and both of Hidalgo's in upper positions. Nope, Franz is in a lower position. Both of Green's paintings and both of Hidalgo's in lower positions. No, these guys are both in upper positions. So E, both of Green's and both of Hidalgo's in upper positions, that would be okay. So E is the correct answer for question 17. Which one of the following cannot be true? FW and GO. Nope, that's fine. FW and HO. That would also be fine. GO in the upper position. Yep, that's okay. HW in a lower position. Nope, it's got to be upper. So D is the correct answer for 18. That's not going to work. So you can see how this deduction up front is very helpful to have made. Yeah, very helpful indeed. So if you don't make that immediately, hopefully the first couple of questions sort of leads you down that road a little bit. With a matching exercise like this and fairly limited options, yeah, hopefully that reveals itself fairly quickly. It definitely can help when you maybe haven't, so like with these rules, there aren't super obvious links, perhaps, right? And then like that very last rule that we get just gives us IO in this position here. So that's like an opportunity to go through the rules again and to see, can I use them to make some deductions that I can actually add to my chart, and maybe link to this piece of information that I have in my chart, which is the only piece of information I'm actually given to put into it. So I think it's beneficial to take a moment after you've written out the rules. If you haven't made connections between the rules as you go, then maybe after you've written them out, you can try to see if you can form any connections after that, even if it's just a matter of eliminating some options, right? So it might be that in a different game, you wouldn't be able to like fully figure out exactly which player is in this spot, but maybe you could narrow it down a bit, and it gives you a little bit of an opportunity to apply the rules. Of course, you do get that opportunity in the first question. So for this first question, if you were going rule by rule eliminating, you would probably have a bit of a difficult time because it's just focused on the lower positions. So, I mean, you can certainly look at, you know, the FO part and the IO part, but to get beyond that, you're going to have to make some connections between the rules to kind of infer what's going on the upper portion. So I suppose you could, how far could you get by just doing process of elimination there? You could eliminate C because that doesn't have IO in the lower position of wall 4. You could eliminate D because it doesn't have FO in the lower position. And you could also eliminate anything that had Green's watercolor listed. So D, you can eliminate for that, but we've already eliminated it because it doesn't have F, O. So you'd really only be able to eliminate C and D before you'd have to start looking at, given that this is what they're proposing for the lower wall, what would the upper wall look like? So yeah, I think that's probably the point at which you would want to be getting that deduction, if not before. Yeah. Hopefully this is helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, please let me know.